Hi there, this is Alvin from Dr. Wealth. It is the start of 2024 and it is another year where I guess a lot of people are wondering what may happen to the financial markets in 2024. So I'm here to give you an annual prediction, which even last year I did say that I usually don't like to do predictions because I myself is not a fan of it. I know how inaccurate it can be. And yet I believe that most people still want to know what's likely going to happen. So I'll give you my take, and of course take it with a pinch of salt, right? And I also want to take this opportunity to review how some of the predictions that I made last year in 2023 and how many of them are actually accurate, right? So I actually make 7 of them, as you can see on this screen. Let me blow this up for you. So this was what I made, the predictions last year. And the first one was right? Inflation rate went below 5%. And in fact, the latest in the US is about 3+%. And the second one is that I believe that the rate hike was stopped by Q1 last year, but somehow it continued the rate hike until Q3. So it's like half right. The rate hike did stop in 2023, but it continued until Q3. And third point was recession was supposed to happen in 2023, right? Okay, but it didn't come true. US economy continued to be strong and GDP growth is a positive number, I think 2+%, if I didn't recall wrongly, for the full year of 2023 in the US. So I got that wrong. And number 4 is that I believe the stock market has bottomed, and that is pretty true, right? Because 2023 was a very good year for the US stock market. S&P 500 was up 26%, and Nasdaq was even up like 56%. So indeed, the market has totally recovered from the bottom. And fifth is that I suspected there will be some cybersecurity merger and acquisition happening. There are actually some deals, but they are the smaller ones. And those that I mentioned in the video didn't happen, right? They continue to stay listed. And number 6 is that I predicted China will outperform after 2 years of negative performance, but somehow China went down even lower, even though at a smaller degree compared to the previous 2 years. And lastly, N Group IPO didn't happen in 2023 as well. So so far, as you can see, the prediction is not really very accurate. I did like less than 50% right in this case. And so hence, I believe that in predictions, relying on investment on prediction is usually not a very good idea. But for entertainment purposes, I will give you my take for 2024. So let's begin with the first one. Okay, so it should not be a surprise to you by now if you've been watching the US market is that the interest rate is expected to get cut this year, 2024. And that has already spurred the market or the stock market higher last year. So how is it going to be this year? Okay, I don't want to just make a prediction that interest rate is going to get cut, right? So that is an easy prediction. I want to make it harder. Okay, so I'm not going to predict that, but I want to predict the why the interest rate will get cut. Okay, what is the event that drives this movement or this decision by the Federal Reserve? So the important thing is that the Federal Reserve would not just cut rates because they just like to cut rates and stimulate the economy or to spur the stock market. There must be a fundamental reason, and usually it's because the economy is slowing down. So recession didn't happen in 2023, and people are talking about the likelihood of soft landing, right? So which means that US may avert economic recession, and yet the inflation rate can be brought down to a certain level. Okay, so far that is happening, but we cannot exclude the fact that this recession risk has totally gone away because it might be a delay effect. So one indicator is that the yield curve remains inverted. So whenever the yield curve inverts, there's a very high likelihood that a recession will happen. So we have discussed this in previous videos quite a lot of times. And today I want to show you another chart, which is this probability of US recession predicted by Treasury spread. Right? So this is another way to look at it. So this was prepared by the New York Fed. And what I see historically is that whenever this probability hit 30%, recession follows. Okay, so far since 2023, this probability has shot up to as high as 70%. And right now we haven't seen any recession yet. Okay, but that doesn't mean that 2024 it may not happen, or even 2025, right? So I believe that there might be a time where a recession will kick in, and hence the Federal Reserve will have the impetus to cut interest rate to stimulate the economy. So I don't disagree that interest rate will get cut, but I wanted to figure out what caused the Federal Reserve to want to cut interest rate. So I believe that it's likely to due to economic slowdown, and to the worst degree, of course, is a recession. All right, so that's my first prediction. US will have a recession in 2024. Okay, but that may not be bad news, right? Because you can have a recession, but the stock market can still be resilient because the stock market is not the economy. So don't get confused about that part. I'm not bearish the US stock market. I believe that it might still edge again this year, because if we take a look at the presidential cycle, because this year 2024 is the year where US will select their next president. It might be Biden re-election, but I doubt so, right? Because I read some reports that he might not run for re-election in that case. So it might be a new one that's coming in. So if we look at this presidential cycle, right, you can see the chart here, the average return for that 4-year cycle, first year, second year, third year, fourth year. Third year, which is last year, right, 2023, usually the third year you have a tremendous impact on the stock market. It tends to be very, very bullish, right? Across the 4 years, you see the third year of a presidential cycle usually delivers the highest returns. And the second highest return is in year 4. So which means this fourth year, which 2024, is Biden's fourth year. Okay, so it's supposed to be a good year as well. On average, you'll be up 7.5% according to previous presidential cycle as well. So with that stats, hence I believe that there is a high chance that S&P 500 will still deliver a positive return. But the key thing here is that it might not be as good as a return as in 2023. Okay, so to summarize for you, right, my prediction is that 2024 might still see a positive return from S&P 500, but it will be less than 2023's returns. Okay, so that's my prediction. And this is another study, because S&P 500 last year went up by 26%, right? So this table shows you that what happens in the subsequent year return whenever S&P 500 delivers 20% returns and more. Okay, so based on this tabulation, what I found is that there were only 2 times in history, right, 2 consecutive years where the returns, the first year return is more than 20% and the second year return is higher than the previous year. Other than that, most of the time, the subsequent year returns tend to be lower than the preceding year, right, if the S&P 500 is up more than 20%. So that's how I relate the stats. So that means there is a high chance that this year will not be as good as last year, right, even if it delivers a positive return. So that is my second prediction. S&P 500 likely an up year in 2024, but lower returns than 2023. Okay. And third one is related to China, right? So MSCI China returns have negative return for 3 years. 2021 down 22%, 2022 down 23%, and last year was down 14%. So what's going to happen in 2024? Okay, so I'm going to still make the same prediction as of last year that MSCI China will make a positive return. Okay, slightly different from last year, right? So probably I toned down a bit of that bullishness because last year I said that it's going to outperform, right? So when I say outperform, it means that it might do better than say the US markets or the rest of the markets in a big sense. But this year is a bit different. I'm not saying that it will beat the S&P 500, but I am saying that it might just achieve a positive return. It might be just a single-digit percentage gain. And that's all I expect, right? I'm not expecting like a big 30%, 40%, 50% gain from for 2024 in terms of the China's equity stocks, right? Because there will be some time that China needs to recover, and I don't think that within a year that fortune will change 180 degrees and have a very big gain in 2024. So prediction number 3 is that MSCI China, that index is going to achieve a positive return. Okay. So now let's come to the 4th prediction and bring you back to Singapore, and this is the IHS REIT index. So if you see across the last 10 years, this S-REIT index, it may appear to you that the S-REIT index have not really moved up, right? It's been very range bound, but please note, this is just the price return. It does not include dividends. Whereas REITs, most of the returns come from dividends. Hence, this is just price return. Don't take it as total return. I want to clarify that part. So if we just look at the price return, you can see that currently the REITs is at the lower range of that trading boundary. So there may be some upside for REITs, and especially because the Federal Reserve, if they really cut rates this year, there might be a boost for the REITs prices, because REITs were suffering for the last 2 years due to the rate hikes. The share price have come down, the dividends have shrunk, and some REITs went into trouble. So with this new hope that the interest rate get cut, REITs may have more legs to run. So that is why I think that REITs might be an interesting sector or a group by itself. This is the chart that shows you the total return, which includes dividend. The yellow line is the one with the dividends, inclusive of the price changes, whereas the dark blue line only have price change without dividend consideration. So you can see over the past 10 years, the REITs did go up because of the cumulative dividends that was collected over the years. So it is still not it's still quite a good, attractive sector to invest in, and especially when rates get cut in 2024. So prediction number 4 is that REITs would be among the top 3 performing sectors in Singapore. Right, so if anyone who is interested, I believe REITs, quite a lot of investors are interested because they're dividend plays. It might be a good time, right? I've been talking about this for a good part of 2023, and they did rally hard in the last 2 months after the expectation that interest rate going to cut this year. Okay, so I think that there might be some room for it to go. And now let's go to the last prediction, and it's related to commodities, and this is the gold price chart. Okay, and you can see now it is trading above $2,000 per ounce. Okay, and it has tested this level for the 4th time. Right, you can see there's 3 preceding peaks. Just after they cross that $2,000 mark, it come back down, cross the $2,000 mark, it come back down. So will this time be different, or will it still be the same, hit $2,000 and come back down? So I believe that again, if interest rate is going to get cut, the US dollar is likely to be worth less, right? So there will be some depreciation in the US dollar, and when that happens, that means that the amount of US dollar needed to buy 1 ounce of gold will have to increase, right, due to the lower value of US dollar. So that's how that US dollar and gold relations are. Okay, so if US dollar depreciate, gold prices go up. If Federal Reserve cut interest rate, likely US dollar will depreciate, and hence gold has the tendency to go up. So I believe that it will break an all-time high in 2024. Okay, so I don't know how high it will go, but I believe that it will break all-time high if indeed the Federal Reserve cut interest rates. All right, so that's my prediction number 5. Gold price to hit new all-time high. So in summary, these are my predictions for your entertainment purposes only. Number 1 is that I believe there will be a US recession. We are not out of the woods yet, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. I still believe that S&P 500 will still make a positive return this year, just that it may not be as rosy or as high as what we saw in 2023. So taper a little bit of the expectation will be good. Number 3 is that I still want to bet that China would recover, just that it will not fully recover all the loss that it has made in the last 3 years, but a positive gain, just a single-digit percentage positive return in 2024 would mark a good start of that recovery, and I think that is achievable. And number 4 is related to Singapore REITs. Because of the rate cuts, I think that the REITs prices will have more room to go up further, and it will be among the top 3 performing sectors in Singapore stock market. And last but not least, we talk about commodities, gold price, and I predicted that the gold price will hit all-time high, right? New all-time high due to the depreciation of US dollar, which in turn was due to the interest rate cuts. All right, so these are the 5, and come next year, we will see whether how many of these are right, how many of these are wrong. And I hope 2024 is a good year for your investments, and as well as your career, your love life, family life, whatever, okay? Everything is good for you. And thanks for watching this video. Please like it and subscribe to the channel, so I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.